From overcoming challenges to soaring to Paralympic gold, Jonathan Broom-Edwards isn't just a high jumper, he's a true inspiration. Let's dive into his journey, mindset, and what's next for this champion. Well, it's great to have Jonathan here today. Welcome to the clinic.
Good to be here. It's been a while.
It has been a while, yeah. We'll come on to that, shall we?
Yeah, a little later.
Lots of questions for you today. And you're going to get a massage at the same time.
Which I'm very fortunate about because I need it.
Brilliant. So what inspired you to take up high jump? Or were there any other sports you were interested in?
Yeah, actually, I started in basketball. I didn't really try high jump until I think my third year of uni.
Yeah.
I maybe did it as I was, as a kid, but I was really into basketball, and I was one of the shorter guys that would jump up above the bigger guys. I enjoyed the feeling of being able to get up and dunk the ball and have a bit of hang time so that other people would jump. They'd come down, I'm still up there, and then shoot the ball.
You've always been springy.
I'd say so, yeah. I did work on it. I think I worked on it quite a bit when I got to uni.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I think my third year of uni when I tried a bit of high jump that I was spotted by another sports massage therapist, and they told me I could classify for the Paralympics, which was, it blew my mind because I acknowledged my kind of, as I call it, gammy leg, and just kind of got on with it. And I had no idea I could compete for Paralympic sport until that moment, and that's what started the ball rolling.
So I didn't realise it was third year of uni. Were you, what, 20? 21?
I was 22. I started uni when I was 19, so yeah, I would have been 22.
Wow, so late starter.
Yeah.
Look at how, well, you talked about your leg. You call it your gammy leg. Can we have a look at it? Can we compare the two?
Yeah, sure.
So if I pull the towel up like so. So do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
So yeah, it's a condition called Talipes equinovarus. So it's a condition affecting, can be one or both feet, but it's also called clubbed foot.
Yeah.
Because when I was born, especially my left foot, it was twisted up and then bent, so it looked a bit like a golf club. Okay. Hence the term. Yeah. But what it's left me with is a lack of plantar flexion ability. I can't go up onto my toes. Like,
show the difference.
I've got range of motion up, but I haven't really got it down. If like in the difference. Yeah. I've got a little bit there, whereas I've got a lot more here, and I've got that much there. And I've got a lot more here, obviously. So I've got this foot, although it had a little bit something going on with the big toe, was fairly normal. But I had to have surgery to correct the clubbed foot element. And what I've got now is a lack of soleus muscle, a lack of gastroc muscle. Range of motion is affected. There's fusion in my ankle. And I can't go up onto my tiptoes on that left side. So it affects my ability to walk. And for high jump, it affects the running and my penultimate step, so the one before takeoff.
So if you just bend your knees for us, put your feet flat on. If you come around here, just
I can't put the foot flat on that.
Look at the size difference there. How has your disability shaped your approach to sport and life in general?
So growing up, not kind of considering my impairment as anything much, I didn't think of myself as a disabled athlete or anything. Going into Paralympic sport, it was quite a culture shock, really, because I felt a little bit of like imposter syndrome. I was surrounded by people who had much more severe disabilities than I had. They were in wheelchairs, they were amputees, they were severe neurological conditions. So for me, I just had my skinny leg, and it was, so it was a bit weird at the start, but then as I kind of went into sport, it was almost like, oh no, actually I do belong here, because I'm competing against people with the same condition or similar conditions, and it's a much more level playing field. I was competing against able-bodied in high jump, and I've had to compete against able-bodied to get the competition I need before my major events, because there isn't, I suppose, enough competition para-wise in England. I have to go to the world stage. So I've learned to accept it. I learned to actually, I suppose, thrive in it, because this is like, this is where I'm supposed to be. It's I've never let it hold me back though. I've never let my foot hold me back. I've always pushed it to its max and seeing what maximum I can get out of it. And there have been times where I'm limited, but I enjoy competing against my able-bodied counterparts and then beating them at stuff. So it's great.
Amazing. Well done. What's been the biggest challenge you faced in your career so far, and how did you overcome it?
Right, well, that was as soon as last year. So 2024, we had the Paris Olympics and Paralympics. So I was gearing up for that. Because of the skewing of timetables with COVID, we also had a World Championships. So I had a World Championships in May in Kobe, Japan. And I was in really good shape. So I won that. I won gold there.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Where's your medal?
I forgot.
He forgot to bring all his medals.
I'll send you photos. So yeah, I've won there. Then gone on to the able-bodied British trials, and I'm just shy of a bronze medal there. So that would have been quite an achievement. But I got 4th place there.
What height?
So I'm jumping around 2m7, 2 meter, like I think a 2m11 bar. I was going towards there, but gearing back up to my high heights, because my personal best is 2m15. So I was going back towards that. I've had a couple of injuries to deal with in my career. But anyway, 6 weeks before my Paralympic competition day, I was in a warm weather training camp in Doha. And I've done some hurdle jumps. So I'm just jumping over hurdles like this, and I've caught one wrong, and I've come down and landed on my right foot, which is my takeoff leg. Broke my ankle, tore the ligaments, tore the retinaculum. I had surgery 5.5 weeks before, with plates, pins, sutures, stitches.
Wow, can we have a look?
Yeah.
Come around here and have a little look. So this is your strong foot.
This is my good foot, yeah.
This is good foot. You can see some scarring there.
So it's a little bit fatter than it used to be. But my surgeon gave me a 1% chance of making it back. But I did make it back. I did make it back to the Paris Paralympics, and I came 5th overall. But to be given a 1% chance and then still make it. And you know, every cloud has a silver lining, right?
Some people can't even walk after 6 weeks of having that.
Well, the NHS would have you in a cast for 6 weeks.
Crazy.
But yeah, I was able to jump, and it's led to the most amazing documentary, which is premiering next month, and should be able to be viewed in the coming months. So
we've seen a trailer for it, haven't we? And if we can, we'll try and put it at the end of this video so you can see it. It gave me goosebumps watching it. It was inspirational.
But yeah, that's definitely my biggest challenge. But do you know what? It was my biggest achievement in my career. Away from all the golds and the other medals that I've got, that was the biggest achievement I've had, because I was against the odds.
Just shows what good rehab and motivation and everything does for people.
No, I was very, what's the word I'm looking for? I was very fortunate to have the team I had, and they all mucked in. They all helped keep pushing me along, and I feel very privileged.
Jonathan, can you walk us through the emotions of winning the Paralympic gold in Tokyo?
Wow, that was a long time coming, and it's a moment I'll never forget. I'd done a lot of chasing silvers, or like chasing the gold, you know, and settling for silvers rather. And after a month of preparing for the heat of Tokyo, like 40-degree heat, I've been in heat chambers, jacuzzis, saunas, just to condition myself for heat. Training out in Tokyo for 3 weeks, getting used to the heat. On my competition day, it torrentially tipped it down, and it was cold. And it was quite a shock to the system for everyone, I think. But there was a difference in terms of the body language of a lot of the other competitors. They were very much grimacing. But as part of my, I suppose, conditioning for competitions, I always try to plan for the what ifs. Rain being one of them. So I had everything in my bag that I needed to get into action. You know, whether it's my poncho, my umbrella, like pins for my marker, towels, extra socks, etc., etc. So the competition itself wasn't smooth either. I had
Did you have an audience then?
We didn't have an audience, so we had.
It was COVID.
Yeah, we had people who were supporting, like support staff.
Yeah.
We had other athletes there. You still get the atmosphere of a stadium like that, and there's other competitions going on. Because I remember I'd gone up to 2.7 meters, and I'd failed my first attempt. Yeah. One of my main competitors failed his first attempt, and as I'm talking to my coach, who came out with me, all of a sudden we hear cheers and like celebration. And I turned around, I was like, "What? Who was that?" And it was an Indian jumper called Kumar Praveen. Yeah. Out of nowhere, jumped a lifetime best on his first attempt, and it rocked the boat because then I failed my second attempt as well. No. My main competitor failed his second attempt. Yeah. I'm on a third attempt, and I could have been going home as a bronze medalist at this point.
Pressure of that anyway.
But kept my cool, pulled out a really good technical jump and cleared that bar. My main competitor failed, and then we went up to the next bar of 2.10 meters. Yeah. And then I got it on my second attempt, and I just remember coming off landing on the bed and absolutely going nuts, like come on, and thinking to myself, okay, calm down, you might have to jump again. So I've gone back to my bag and I'm like breathing, I'm like, calm down, calm. Kumar Praveen's jumped again and he's failed again. So I'm like, calm down. Yes. No, I'm still like calm. But then as soon as he failed the third attempt, I was just literally like, oh my God. And I just remember the emotions that came to me, just an amalgamation of so many different emotions. The official had come over to me and said, what bar do you want next? So I've said, 2.13 meters. And as I'm going back to my coach who's up in the stands, he's just up there. He hasn't even bothered to walk down. He's just doing this. No. It's like, you're done. Celebrate. Celebrate. Oh. So I ended up doing it. It was like the only competition in my career where I've ended not on a failure. Because with high jump, you always keep trying to push the bar. Yeah. So it was incredible feeling, and I didn't sleep a wink that night. No. And coming back, the celebrations coming back, it was a time I'll never forget.
It's quite different to 100 meters where you know exactly who's won, but the whole thing of you having to wait to see if you have won or not must be hard.
Well, yeah, I mean, even if he'd have cleared it, if he'd have cleared it on his second attempt, I would then have been in silver medal because of the count back, because he got it first attempt at the previous bar and I got it on the third attempt. Oh. So I had to, if he'd have cleared it, would have had to have jumped the next bar. Yeah. It was quite in the rain as well. It was probably one of my best performances. It's not the highest I've jumped in my life, but to say that 2 weeks prior to that moment, I've jumped in a practice jump, a personal best, I knew I was in good shape. Yeah. So it was a very different experience to what Paris was last year.
Oh, brilliant. You took on one of the toughest challenges outside the sport and took part in SAS Who Dares Wins in 2022. Yep. I'm a massive fan of that show and have respect for anyone that goes on it. What was the hardest thing you found about it?
It's one of those shows I was pining to actually take part in. Yeah. And I got the call of or an audition after Tokyo. Yeah. So after I'd won gold, that was when I got the call.
Did they contact you, or do you show an interest? How does it?
No, they contacted me through. They got in contact with my agent, and we set up for the audition. But I would have had to have been on the plane 3.5 weeks after that audition. No, 4.5 weeks after that audition. So I've come away from that, and they didn't actually confirm to me that I was going to be on the plane to go to Jordan in the Middle East until I think a week and a half before I was supposed to be going. So I was in this limbo bit. I was like, I probably should start training for this. Yeah. And the training itself was one of the hardest things I've done, because going from high jump, which is a power event, to like anything can happen, endurance, it was a very big culture shock. But the hardest thing on that show, I'd say the top one was the gassing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't think in my life up to that moment I'd ever experienced the feeling of like pure panic. Yeah. Because
Can you explain what happened for people that don't know?
Yeah, sure.
About that?
I'm going to take you back to the very start. So we're in these trucks. We're driven to the middle of nowhere, right? And told to get out, and we're told to run following the DSs, which are the directing staff.
Yeah.
So we're running for probably a mile or two until there's like a line of what were gas masks put out in front of us. So we've all got behind a gas mask, and we're being told how to put them on, how to unscrew the filter, the air filter, because we were being told we'd have to hold it out for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, screw it back on whilst we're in the gas room.
Yeah.
But then they made us run another couple of miles whilst wearing the gas mask. Oh. And
we don't see that, do we, on telly? No.
But genuinely, if you took a breath in with through your mouth, it would be like, it would just stick to your face, right? So you couldn't breathe. Ugh. So what I found was that if I breathed through my nose, which is hard enough when you're running, I could like get a constant stream. But like so many people were just like putting it up and like getting shouted at, and then like having to try and keep going. But then we got to the place where the gassing would be, and we're told to put on these overalls, and then one by one we were then told to sprint round, and we go into this building, and this building's full of gas. Okay, so you go in, and as soon as you walk into that room, you can almost feel the crawling on your skin where the overall was. And you go in, Billy Bingham was there, and he's talking to us and asking us questions like, what's your name, what's your age? So I've said Jonathan Broom-Edwards.
Holding it off?
No, I'm not holding it off yet.
Okay.
Still got the gas mask on. After a number of questions, he's then said, okay, hold your respirator out. So I've unscrewed it. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, put it on, breathe out all the air, and then start breathing again as normal, feeling really smug in myself that I'd done it. I was like, yes, nailed it first time. Because it was fiddly, right? And then he was like asking me a few more questions, and I was like, I can't hear you, take your gas mask off. I took that mask off, and it just felt like pure fire going into my chest. All of a sudden, like, and everything within me is like, you are going to die. Like, that's how it felt. I'm going to die. So I'm like, start to keel over to the side, and he's like asking me more questions, and I'm like, I couldn't remember my age. Like, it asked me how my age was. I said 31. I wasn't. I was 33. I couldn't remember my name. It was like weird. And then all of a sudden,
You've got a long name though, Jonathan.
I've got a long name. But then I've dropped to the floor, and he was like, "Do you want to go?" And I've stood up defiantly, like, "No!" And then like, "Yes!" And he's like, "Go on, then, go off." Like, so I've run round to the door where we came in, and they've locked the door. So I'm like, "Yeah." And I've never come out of a window so fast, like almost like Superman and out of a window, rolling over these like tactically placed sandbags that are out back side of it. It's the ugliest I've looked in my life. I had snot coming out of every orifice, and it lasted. That horrible feeling lasted for a good hour. It was that was horrific.
Well, if you can get through that, get through anything.
Yeah.
Alongside your athletic career, you've been training as an osteopath. What got you into that?
Well, you did.
Me?
So
it's a small world.
Yeah. I mean, I'd explored a lot of different things when I was going through uni, because I was in a lot of pain because of my condition and the imbalance I had through my body.
What course did you do at uni?
So I actually did aeronautical engineering.
Oh, very different.
So a bit different, yeah. And I then started down this road of getting into biomechanics and orthotics, and then wanted to learn a bit more about the body, and that's where I met you doing the VTCT level 3 back in Loughborough College, and the sports massage courses. And one thing's led to another, and actually over the course of my career, I've gone into treating clients privately and trying to discover what causes pain and how to eradicate pain, looking for where areas are restricted or blocked, and it's helped me manage my aging body in sport. That's why I'm still around. But I started osteopathy a couple of years ago, part-time course. Then building up to Paris, I had to defer because the demands of my training and making sure I don't get injured, it was just too much. So I had to defer, and I will continue beyond my athletics career. to finish the course. But I love it. I love it. I'm passionate, just like you are, at helping people eradicate pain throughout the body.
Yeah.
So,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Amongst everything else you've achieved in your life, you've also been awarded an MBE.
I have.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That is 3 years out of date, but in
Yeah.
2022.
Yep.
Can you talk us through that?
Well, yeah, that was an amazing experience, and just didn't know really what to think initially. I was awarded an MBE for services to sport, and I suppose I've done a lot of work outside of sport with school visits, appearances, motivational talking, that sort of thing. So it was quite a nice, I suppose, privilege to go to Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
It was still around COVID time, so I could only have one guest, so I brought my mum along.
Lovely.
You know, she supported me my whole life, so
Yeah.
it was a nice experience for us both. And I was anointed on, is that the right way to say it? Anointed an MBE,
Yeah.
I suppose, by Prince William, who's he's taller than me. I didn't even know he was that tall. But I found myself getting like sweaty and clammy. I was like, I feel so nervous. Why am I so nervous?
Why are you so nervous? You're at Buckingham Palace being presented that. It's just amazing.
But you go in, we went into the throne room, and you have to, you stand in, you've got, I had a naval sergeant, a naval commander or something like that to my left, and he's basically told me to take 4 steps forward, 90-degree turn, bow, go up, get your medal, talk to Prince William for a few minutes, and then you have to walk backwards before then turning off and going away. It was over in a flash, but it was an incredible experience, and testament to, I suppose, the hard work that I've put into sport.
Yeah,
and outside of it.
You look great as well in your suit. I think we're going to put a photo of that. But,
shout out to Mark Darcy.
Yeah, another lovely experience. What message would you give to young athletes with disabilities that want to follow in your footsteps?
That's a good question. Do you know what? For a long time in my childhood, I was embarrassed by the difference in my legs. I felt ashamed that I was different.
Yeah.
But what I've learned as I've gone through my career is to almost celebrate it a bit. It's my uniqueness, which has allowed me to have so much unique opportunities throughout my life. And that's not to say that every disability athlete needs to be a Paralympian to experience that, but actually the adversity that the disability has given me has allowed me to almost condition my mind better and helped me like realize my own potential, which has been an incredible experience. And I would say to anyone that's got a disability, don't worry about what other people think, because if they think badly about you, or if they have anything to say, it says more about them than it does you. And find those people in your life that are going to elevate you and lift you rather than drag you down, because there's so many people out there, and there's a lot of good people out there.
There is. Nice, great answer, Jonathan. Jonathan, what are your goals for the next 5 years? Are we thinking another Paralympic medal, gold? Are we?
I'm still in my career. I'm still in my sport. Bringing a Zimmer frame to the next one. I think I didn't want to have an injury take me out of the sport. And actually, I've become more dedicated, because I had a good amount of time off after Paris. I've become more dedicated to reach the next one, and having to do a lot more mobility work, stabilization work to maintain my body. But really enjoying it, and really enjoying it with my new coach. She's meticulous with her planning. Los Angeles 2028, definitely. But alongside that, it's the family. You know, I recently got engaged.
Oh, congratulations!
Last year.
Join the club.
Yes. So we are moving into a new house. We're just waiting for a completion date now. So it will be, us planning to develop our life together, even more so. But I've got a lot of plans outside of sport as well, and a lot of ways to give back and get other Paralympians, give them a voice. So I'm building things with my agency, and it's all exciting stuff.
Oh, it's been great having you here, Jonathan, and a privilege. I've known you for a long time, and seen where you've come from and where you're going to, and your goals in the future, which is, it's actually quite emotional. Look at me, getting soft in my old age. So if you'd like to follow Jonathan, and I'll definitely recommend it to see where his journey takes him, it's at Broom-Edwards T44. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so that's on my Instagram, that's on X as well. And you can find me on LinkedIn, just search my name, Jonathan Broom-Edwards, or my website, www.jonathanbroomedwards.co.uk. Just like that, the journey might be over. On the most time-pressured rehab journey, try and get back for the Paralympics.
I'm getting to the start line and seeing what can come of it. That's the aim.
Said there is a chance I can do it, and it was that chance that I'm chasing.
Ultimately, the main focus for everyone right now is that he's there, he's competing, and he's contending for a medal.
There'll be some comeback story. Hopefully you can see improvements day on day, but we've just got to see how I tolerate it.
I say to myself, if it has to be this hard to make it super easy on the day at the Paralympics, then I'll take it.
If anyone's going to do it, Jonathan's going to do it.
It's been the hardest I've ever had to work. I'll keep telling myself I'm going to Paris. It's like 3 weeks today, I've got to be jumping. Have I got enough time? That's the big question.